What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is CJ the Cheese DJ here, back with some more ARK with our best friend of a beard and our moppy haircut. That's right, the new update's out for ARK, and so we've decided to do a comparison or a versus between the Baryonyx and the Carno. Now, these two dinos are pretty much the same size, except this guy has appendages coming out that he can actually use, whereas the Carno has these little tiny flappy things that just sit there. Yep, man, feel sorry for the little guy sometimes. Alrighty, so pretty much what we'll be doing is we'll be going through their health, their stamina, their oxygen, their weight, their melee damage, their movement speed, their torpor, their turning radius, and a few other things, guys. So first things first, we're going to compare their health. Now already the Baryonyx has a health advantage over the Carno. The Baryonyx with 1200 health, while the Carno only has 1000. Now they were spawned in at the same level as well, might I add. So there is like no difference kind of thing between them besides what kind of dinosaurs they are. So the Baryonyx has 1200 health, whereas the Carno only had 1000. The stamina on the Baryonyx is 557, while the Carno only has 510. So already you're seeing a big difference between the two. That 200 health could be the difference between life or death. That extra 40-50 stamina could also mean the difference between life or death. So let's take a look at their weight now. So the Carno has 354 weight, while the Baryonyx only has 383. So once again, the Baryonyx is trumping the Carno in terms of stat-wise, and that mouth is extremely intimidating in terms of scare factor. Alright, so melee damage. The Baryonyx is 143 melee damage, while the Carno only has 137. So already you're starting to see that the Baryonyx, based off these results, is already a better dinosaur. For now, we're going to get further into the testing, and we're going to see how they go. Alrighty guys, so after that initial testing at the beginning, we then decided to see how long the Carno could actually sprint for, and pretty much how long his stamina would last for. So all in all, after sprinting continuously, he only lasted 35 seconds after continuous sprinting, which is kind of low considering how much stamina he has. He had over 500 stamina, he could only run for 35 seconds. So that's kind of bad. We then did the same test with Baryonyx, running around until its stamina was depleted. And we timed it, and the stamina of the Baryonyx lasted 1 minute and 2 seconds. That's double what the Carno's stamina lasted for. So there's a huge difference in between the Baryonyx and the Carno. And considering that there's only about 20 points of stamina difference between the two, that's a surprising number for the Baryonyx to have and lasting so much longer than the Carno. We then set up a course to determine which dino was faster and who ran it faster. And as you saw, there was a flag at the beginning where we started and the flag here at the end when we finished. And all in all, the Carno finished the course in 7 seconds and 7.25 seconds. So that's 7 seconds and 25 milliseconds. Showing that also, as well as his stamina usage being a lot higher than the Baryonyx, his speed is also quite slow. The Baryonyx then did the same course as the Carno, and it took the Baryonyx 6.49 seconds to complete the course. That's 0.7 of a difference between the Carno and the Baryonyx. Now, this might seem like a little bit, but after running a large amount of distance between the two, that can make quite the difference between escaping your prey or catching up to it. Next up, we compared the turning radius between the two. Now, the Baryonyx here had slightly wider and larger turns than the Carno did, which is favourable for the Carno considering that he hasn't got much of anything else running for him. So the Baryonyx turning radius was slightly larger than the Carno's. As you can see here, his circles are quite big. We used that seashell in the middle there to determine and create a circle around it. And as you'll see further along, the Carno has a slightly better turning radius. So the Carno's turning radius was better than the Baryonyx's in my opinion. As you can see there, he's slightly alternating his circling around the shell rather well, rather better than the Baryonyx anyway. You can see here while sprinting he was able to continuously form smaller circles than the Baryonyx. The Baryonyx while sprinting made larger circles, showing that his turning radius is slightly larger than the Carno's. Next up, we compared their ability to swim in water. Now, as you can tell from the Baryonyx's appearance, he's also a water dweller dino as well as a land dino, and you can see he's quite the proficient swimmer. Now, as well as being a proficient swimmer, he does use stamina up while swimming, but he also has a secondary attack in water, which you can see now. He does like a spinning attack, which does slight knockback damage to creatures in the water. However, we managed to test that attack on a training dummy whilst in the water, and we discovered that it was pretty much the same as its primary attack, so there wasn't really any added benefit of that secondary attack, just that it did a larger circle of damage, so it had a larger area of effect. Now the Baryonyx was also faster in the water than the Carno, which is acceptable and, well, predictable. As you can tell from their appearance, this Baryonyx is more sharper and streamlined, but now we'll take a look at the Carno. Okay, so we took the Carno into the water, and there's definitely no sugarcoating in this. The Carno sucks in water. As you can see, it's got a terrible swim speed, like it's horrendous. The amount of stamina it uses in water as well is also really bad. It doesn't have any added bonuses of being in water, so you really don't want to take this guy into the water if you value his life. That's pretty much all there is to it. He's not a very good water dino. So I then decided to see if the Carno or Baryonyx had any different abilities that I did not know about. Now, as you can see, the Baryonyx only has the one primary attack, the biting. His secondary attack is a little crocodilian, yappy, barky, snappy thing. You can see there, kind of. He's doing like a little snappy attack. It doesn't actually do any damage. It's more like the T-Rex's roar, which is, in my opinion, the Baryonyx's roar isn't very intimidating at all. Although I'd still be quite scared if that thing came running up to me in the wild. Now, as you can see, the Carno has two attacks. He has his regular biting attack there and his knockback attack there. Now, in terms of attacking targets, the Carno is slightly better in my opinion, as he does more DPS, as you see here. He does 801 DPS with his primary attack, but as well as that, he also has the knockback ability, which is able to knock back other dinosaurs and prevent them from attacking him. Now, the Baryonyx had slightly lower DPS, only managing to get 626 on his primary attack, which is slightly lower than the Carno. As you can see, the Carno had 801 DPS, so you know there's quite a big difference between the two in terms of damage. Now you'd want to go with the Carno in terms of damage and attacking, but your Baryonyx is more your scouting dino, as the Carno has the secondary knockback attack, which is able to prevent dinos from pretty much getting up in its face and attacking it. We then took a look at their weight and how much it increments up by per level. So the Baryonyx gained about 16 weight per level, while the Carno only gained 14 weight per level roughly. So, you know, there is that slight offset between the Carno and the Baryonyx. The Baryonyx also had slightly higher weight statistics than the Carno. Now, this could be due to the dinosaur, or it could just be due to the fact that they spawn in with different stats kind of thing. So yeah, there's also that. Next up, we tested how many trank arrows it would take to knock these suckers out. Now, these guys were level 46 tame dinosaurs, so they did have slightly boosted torpor, but all in all, they still took roughly, I was pretty surprised at how many arrows they took. They didn't take too many, so their torpor wasn't that high. The Baryonyx did have about 2,700 torpor, if I remember correctly. So, you know, we tried to time our shots as best as we could, doing the 5-second intervals, so the dinosaurs gained the maximum amount of torpor. But pretty much the Baryonyx took 16 arrows to take out. So that was a pretty low number in my personal opinion. Now, we probably could have used less trank arrows. The first few trank arrows we shot off didn't have the actual amount of time in between them used properly. So we probably fired a bit too early on the corresponding arrows. But yeah, it took about 16 arrows to take out the Baryonyx. We then did the same test with the Carno and found that it only took about 13 trank arrows to knock it out. Now the Carno only had about 2,300 torpor, so there was about 300, 400 difference between the torpor of the Carno and the Baryonyx. So the Baryonyxes are also going to be harder to tame, as they have the higher torpor obviously. Now the difference between the Carno and the Baryonyx while they were gathering meat, we don't currently have footage, but we did test it out. The Baryonyx managed to harvest more prime meat than the Carno did, averaging 1 or 2 extra prime meats than the Carno did. Now this could be due to its snout or its teeth, but the Carno did have the high melee attack, so it was managing to gather more raw meat than the Baryonyx. However, it didn't gather as much prime meat as the Baryonyx. Alrighty guys, and now it's time for my personal opinion. So based off all the footage and everything and all the testing that we've done, hands down, the Baryonyx takes my pick. Now, he is a new dino, so I haven't actually managed to take a proper look at him and use him properly. But just from these statistics, he has the higher health, the higher stamina, the higher movement speed. He can swim in water as well as in land rather fast, faster than the Carno, for example. He's just an all-terrain dino. Now, he does gather more prime meat than the Carno did, which also makes him more viable. However, he did not hit as hard as the Carno did. But, you know, a few buff and levels into melee damage instead of some other stats can fix that problem. Now, his design is also a lot cooler than the Carno's. I currently like it a lot better than the Carno. He's got actual arms. The Carno just has little drumstick hand things that he can't actually use at all. So yeah guys, this is another ARK Insight video. Let me know what you guys thought of this down below in the comments. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one.